Hello, I'm Yoko, and we made it to year 10 of GalaxyClan, which is crazy to me. If you haven't seen the rest of the series, I recommend checking out the playlist link below or in a card above. We are on the 10th episode of this. I am in shock. This year was a roller coaster, so let's start with the fact that we went to battle against SharpClan. I made the generator for this battle, but I made it like a month ago, and when I went to find it so I could link it below, it went missing at some point. It just doesn't exist anymore. So I can't actually link this one, sorry, unless I remake it, but I've been pretty busy. Regardless, I did take the basic events that I got from that, rearranged them a bit to be more coherent, and added some more little bonus details. Quick warning, this is a battle, there is blood, so fair warning for that. If you are sensitive to blood but want to know what happens anyway, you can listen to the battle without watching the visuals. But with that said, let's start with how this went. Brightstar leads his patrol into SharpClan territory. Maquastar had to be dealt with. She was getting out of hand. They run into a SharpClan patrol, and Brightstar demands to be taken to Maquastar. The SharpClan warriors bare their teeth, calling an attack quickly, and the battle begins. Ravenspot and Cinderpetal are faced off against Stanspot and Larkwillow, who seems a bit more nervous. Ravenspot is taken aback and hesitates fighting Larkwillow as he notices milk and kit scent on her. Stanspot charges Ravenspot, seeing that he's distracted. He pins Ravenspot and taunts the broken former deputy, digging his claws in and telling him to say hi to his mate in StarClan. Cinderpetal rushes forward and kills Stanspot to save his brother's life. He ushers Ravenspot off the battlefield for medical help. Meanwhile, Duskmouse had injured Lightfoot, forcing her to retreat, but Duskmouse chased her. Eaglestrike and Sagedust come in, allowing Lightfoot's escape. As they pin her, Duskmouse orders Lakepaw to help, and they nervously attack Eaglestrike, distracting them enough for Duskmouse to immediately go for everywhere she can on Sagedust, injuring him. Dark Whistle comes running in from the reinforcing 2nd Battle Patrol, seeing his siblings struggle, and he is ambushed by the young apprentice Deadpaw. He tries to shake him off and tell him to leave, but Deadpaw wants a fight. Dark Whistle doesn't want to hurt the apprentice and gets attacked by Goldfish while distracted. He manages to run away, and Bristlethroat prevents Goldfish from chasing him, ready for a fight of her own. On another part of the battlefield, Spireflake is pinned and injured by the older warrior Nilescry. He told her to run home before she got killed. As Spireflake ran, she remembered Brightstar's orders of prioritizing living rather than winning, but she felt embarrassed over her enemy's mercy. Meanwhile, Moleshade was doing their best, holding their own against the more experienced Ashpelt, who had the nervous help of Sunpaw. While in another area, the deputy Sagefern had Cloudjay pinned and bragged about this being his 2nd GalaxyClan kill. Cloudjay stared at him as his sharp teeth taunted him, and Cloudjay lunged forward quickly in self-defense, killing him. He stood shaking as he remembered what that cat had done to Bubblespeck. As Emberfeather made his way through the battlefield, he stopped seeing Riverstock. This young cat lost a leg to a monster accident recently, and he was shocked seeing him on the battlefield shaking while coming forward for a fight. They both were distracted as they noticed Maquastar and Brightstar fighting. Maquastar orders Honeydew to help, who looks terrified. She walks forward shakily, and Brightstar doesn't want to fight her, knowing that she is a nursing queen. Maquastar is distracted from going for an attack of her own by a shout that rings over the fighting cats. Lightsnow stands there to Brightstar's horror. The medicine cat was told to stay in the GalaxyClan camp. Lightsnow starts a call to his former clanmates, noting that many cats here don't even want to fight, or they shouldn't be fighting in the first place. He says this needs to end before more unnecessary blood is shed. Maquasar is furious at Lightsnow's appearance, rushing forward before anyone can stop her, and after killing her own son in front of everyone, which shocked both clans, she ordered her clan to continue fighting, but another battle cry rung out. Both Honeydew and Larkwillow rushed forward, attacking their own leader with tears in their eyes. The two queens were disgusted by her actions. Maquasar is killed by the claws of the two normally kind-hearted queens. They look pained at their clanmates and demand the battle stop. The remaining SharpClan warriors are stunned with the death around them, which includes their leader, deputy, and one of their former medicine cats. Brightstar calls his cats to leave, seeing that the battle is over. He wonders what SharpClan will do after this and hopes they can rebuild better. So that was certainly a battle. There was a few outcomes that could have happened, but each of them included Lightsnow unfortunately dying in some way, whether on the battlefield or a sneak attack during the fight. Because when I went to this first moon in year 10 on SharpClan's file to see if any cats would be unavailable for the fight, Lightsnow was murdered in-game. I won't be drawing him or any of the SharpClan cats in the StarClan lineup, but Besides Light Snow, who had taken shelter in our clan, no cats in GalaxyClan actually died in the battle somehow, despite there being a decently high chance for that to happen. And if anyone is curious, Honeydew is now the new leader of SharpClan, and she is now the Compassionate Honey Star. So hopefully things go better now. I picked her by checking if StarClan was feeling proud of any of the SharpClan cats in particular, so I could say that they sent a message to the medicine cats. Now, despite no one dying in the battle this year, there was still a decent amount of deaths this year, so it's time for the saddest parts of these videos where we head into StarClan. First up is unfortunately LycanSpark, who died at 22 moons old, and I am so sad to see this Chaos Child die so soon. I wish she stuck around longer. I didn't put her in the battle generator due to her spraining her paw the moon that it occurred, so she's one of the cats whose disappearance isn't just because they never generated in the battle thing. LycanSpark managed to beat up a group of rogues earlier in the year, and she actually had deputy goals, which I thought was cute because it was like she was looking up to her dad, Emberfeather. She also got an apprentice right after she had that status, and I was really happy for her. That being said, Deputy LycanSpark probably would have been a disaster waiting to happen, and I honestly couldn't see it in the future, at least how she was now. Both her and her apprentice seemed really excited, which is why it was extra heartbreaking that they both died on their first patrol out together. The bold Roachpaw, who died only 6 moons old, was her apprentice. You never met him before, but Roachpaw was one of Mothblaze and Oakspring's kits. As a kit, he actually snuck out of camp, and Mothblaze was amused at his antics. Lightfoot was also playing with him, so he might have learned from his sneaky aunt. Unfortunately, he and LycanSpark were killed on their first patrol out together when they ran into possibly the same group of rogues that LycanSpark had previously chased off. Side note, I apologize to the owners of the OCs that make a cameo here. Don't bully the actual characters that I drew here. They belong to people, and they were randomly selected. But back to Roachpaw. I looked up what his full name would have been, and it was Roachleaf, which makes me start to question if Leaf is now the new spec in GalaxyClan. Stoneleaf, Swanleaf, Roachleaf, and Swarmkit's name also would have been Swarmleaf, so it looks like it's a popular name with the game right now. I'm really sad both Roachpaw and LycanSpark died so soon. They were both really young. But next up is unfortunately Ravenspot, who died at 121 moons old after a green cough outbreak occurred in the Elder's Den. Ravenspot did retire early at 115 moons old, and I just wanted him to have a peaceful retirement, but no, green cough had to get him. He still had a rough time this year and seemed to not be doing the best. After all, he did immediately get taken out of the commission during the SharpClan battle. I also would have drawn him cuddling with Aspen Lily here for the lineup, but I didn't want to reorder my previous StarClan pictures because they're actually already merged. But I did draw him looking like he's going to see Aspen Lily again off screen, as well as making a bonus picture where he's cuddling Aspen Lily again. He seems to be doing a lot better in StarClan. It was really sad seeing him without his mate, but it also hurts saying goodbye to another clan founder. But he wasn't the only green cough death, because Weedleap died at 157 moons old at the same time. On a similar note to Ravenspot, Weedleap is happy to see Odd again. They also lived long enough to see Oakspring's kits, and the rowdy litter made Weedleap's final moons pretty happy, especially because of all the fangs they inherited. She loves seeing the family teeth. I drew them with a big smile because they seem at peace now, and while it's sad to see them go, I'm happy to draw the smile again, and I'm happy the teeth are spreading farther in the family line. But sadly, there's still more cats in StarClan. Unfortunately, Bugwish died at 25 moons old, only 3 moons after her sister LycanSpark. And I am so sad that both the silly sisters with the flopped ears died so soon. Bugwish had fallen into a river and ended up drowning. Bugwish also had an apprentice this year who she tried her best with, but this girl was struggling. There was a time where she got trapped under branches, and her apprentice was the one that had to comfort her. And something else happened with her apprentice, but I'll get to that later. Bugwish actually died 1 moon after her apprentice became a warrior, so I'm happy she at least got to see her get her full name first. Now, as for the last cat to die this year, unfortunately Spireflake died at 34 moons old. Spireflake actually jumped in trying to save Bugwish, but unfortunately both of them ended up drowning. She was always looking out for others, whether it be a big or small issue, until the very end, and I'm so sad to see her go, but this feels like a very accurate way for how she would. She was a very selfless cat, and I was really rooting for her to be a future deputy or even leader. I know she was really young here, but I would have loved a future Spire Star. I'm going to miss my deer-tailed kitty, but with that, that's everyone in StarClan. And now we can get into the living members. Starting with Brightstar, who is 62 moons old, and he is now mates with the 54-moon-old Fernheart, who is doing so much better this year despite circumstances, and I'm happy for her. I'll go into Brightstar first. He was nervous leading a battle against SharpClan, but he knew Makwastar had to be dealt with somehow. He's thankful no one died in the battle and is happy he trained everyone on how to avoid death blows, which is the excuse I'm using for how no one actually died. While the battle ended in a way he had not wanted, he is grateful the situation is done now. He also doesn't look down on the warriors that were forced to kill in the battle, as he knows it was life or death out there. He's hoping for peace now, and so far things are seeming better. As for Fernheart, she is doing so much better, and I am happy. Ravenspot died, which made her sad, but it wasn't murder or anything like that, so she seemed to take it okay. I think she sees it as he's happy with Aspen Lily now. She's been patrolling a lot with Brightstar this year. They caught a rat together, they had cute runs through the forest. It's super cute. He always makes her feel seen and important, and I love that. Speaking of, she was the one who asked him to be her mate, and I love her having confidence. She also had a gaggle of kits following her early in the year, and seems to help out with the new little ones. On that note, when these two got together, I had a rule where I turned off the possibility of them having kits for 6 moons, just so Fernheart didn't end up immediately with kits again upon getting into a relationship. I wanted there to be some time before possibilities started getting rolled for that. But after that 6-month timer was up, I switched it back on, and on the very last moon of this year, Fernheart announced that she's expecting kits. She seems very happy about it this time, and I'm excited for next year. I will say Mint Splash is very angry in the Dark Forest though, and that's a little concerning, but I'm gonna ignore that for now. Moving on, our deputy Emberfeather is now 73 moons old, and he lost 2 kits this year and has been dealing with the struggles of his other ones. We'll get back to that later. Despite these tragedies, Emberfeather continues to do his best as deputy, and he's actually very concerned because he specifically ran into wolves 3 times this year. This is the first time they've popped up in-game, so I'm deciding that this pack living here is new. Emberfeather fears that they will be dangerous in the future and makes sure to update Brightstar on where he's seen or scented the pack. He's also been closer to Garlic, who now comforted him after the deaths of 2 of his kits as well. Overall, I'm very proud of how Emberfeather is doing considering the circumstances. He also got another apprentice this year, and he's doing great with her. He is still a tired and slightly rude boy though, and now heading into the medicine cat den. Cinderspeck is 54 moons old, and he's had a very rough year. After Light Snow got killed, he was devastated. Both Aspen Lily and Shellkit actually came down and visited him this year from StarClan, which was very cute for me to see. But Cinderspeck feels limited by his fear to leave far from camp or go to the Moonfall, especially with wolves being around, but he tries his best to be busy in the medicine cat den organizing their stores. He's also suddenly very aware of the fact that there hasn't been a prophecy since before he was born, and despite his family visiting him, he is very anxious that StarClan might be upset with him. He was really sad when Ravenspot died and saw it as a bit of a failure on his end as a medicine cat. He's encouraged Swanleaf to find an apprentice, and overall, I think he's been struggling with feeling important to the clan. I'm really hoping he does better next year. But Swanleaf is now 42 moons old, and she did take Cinderspeck's suggestion and trained an apprentice this year. She's trying to make sure the clan still treats Cinderspeck as the head medicine cat, as despite her previous anger of his choice to take a mate, she still really respects him. She does her best collecting the herbs that her mentor is now unable to, and she's still crushing on Lightfoot, and it's just gotten bigger. She's doing her best to push it down, and it's still one-sided, but Swanleaf is having a mental freakout because Lightfoot had kits this year, and Swanleaf actually has another crush this year too. I'll get into who it is later because this one is actually requited, but I will say that Swanleaf continues to not be interested in boys, and she has a type for cats that annoy her. That being said, she fears StarClan's punishments, especially after seeing what happened to Light Snow. Now, as for her apprentice, it was the 14-moon-old newly named Orangeback, who had decided to become a medicine cat apprentice himself. He started off as a strict apprentice like his mentor Swanleaf, but he became more compassionate as he grew, which I thought was interesting. He found a new marigold patch on his first patrol and has been doing really good. I also gave him a marigold accessory because of that. Even though he doesn't have anything in-game, I will continue my medicine cats having accessories trend. Also, I noticed after I finished the speed paint that I missed coloring some stripes on the end of his tail. I will remember for next year. Overall, he's a sweetheart, and we now have free medicine cats for the first time in GalaxyClan. But now we're going to be moving on to our warriors. Bristlethroat has decided she's not done being a girl boss, and she still hasn't retired at 134 moons old now. I'm curious how long she'll take to actually retire, if she ever does. She's done relatively good this year, chasing off foxes, providing for the clan. She does not really act her age at all. She's very spunky, and she's a very happy grandma right now, and she loves showing off to her many grandkids. She's very proud of her chaotic daughters, and is happy her family is getting bigger. There's really not much to say about her, but I really love this rocker grandma. She's just so cool. Next up is Ottertail, who is now 73 moons old, and he's doing better now. He's been getting along well with his daughter Swanleaf, but still hasn't pried about her internal love struggles. He has, however, noticed that a certain cat likes her, and is quietly rooting for her to just be happy. Unfortunately, his hearing is getting even worse, and soon it will probably be gone completely. He's mostly perfected lip reading and gestures, so he's prepared for this. He's also continued to defeat all dogs he's faced and took on 2 of them this year. Let's go Ottertail the Dog Slayer. But yeah, that's basically it for him. But next up is Garlic, who is now 59 moons old. He's a proud dad of his free remaining kits and has been settling into clan life well. When his kits were still in the nursery, Cinnamon Kit actually gave him some moth wings that he has continued to wear, and that is adorable to me. He's such a good dad. Like I said earlier, he's close friends with Emberfeather and comforted him after the deaths of Lycanspark and Bugwish. Overall, while he hasn't done anything big to stand out, he's just generally a good guy. He also did get an apprentice, but they don't really seem to respect him much, and he struggles to actually get them to patrol with him half the time. But yeah, that's Garlic. Next up is the 50-moon-old Oakspring and the 47-moon-old Mothblaze. They both stayed in camp during the SharpClan ambush, as Mothblaze was expecting to have her kits the next moon, and they were both full of joy at the litter of 5 kits they had. Can you guys please stop having 5 kits? I'm trying to keep the clan at a manageable size, and you are ruining it. I also essentially flipped a coin on each kit because they had 50% chance to see if they inherited Oakspring's fangs, and somehow all of them did, so that's fun. We had 5 kittens with teeth this year. They both spent a lot of time playing with them as kids, and they were really sad when Roachpaw died so young. They seem to move on very quickly, however, and they seem to know that life goes on and like to live in the moment. They are a very goofy couple, just pulling pranks and causing chaos. As of right now, they are a bit concerned with the behavior of some of their kids, but we'll get into that later, and they don't really know exactly what's going on. Mothblaze also got lectured by Emberfeather this year after bending the code just a bit for some reason or another, but she also got a scar saving Swanleaf from a hawk this year, so that can be overlooked. I love this couple, they're goofy. Next up is Cloudjay, who is now 35 moons old, and he's been very angsty. For good reason. His dad Ravenspot and his sister Spireflake died this year, so he's kind of reverted back to shutting cats out a bit. He's not the closest to his remaining kin, as they're his older siblings and they weren't exactly litter mates, so he feels a little isolated. Cloudjay was staring off into space the moon after the battle, and I think the fact that he had to kill a cat has been clawing away at him. He also had the status that he was missing Burdock Star, which was sad, me too, buddy. Cloudjay also ran into a large dog on patrol, and I have a personal rule that he never proceeds on any dog patrols, but Ottertail was on his patrol, and since he's a dog slayer, I have a rule that he always goes for it. So I flipped a coin and decided that while Cloudjay froze up at the side of the dog, Ottertail managed to fight it off, protecting him. Which leads to the fact that Cloudjay actually has a huge crush on the older Ottertail right now, which I was not expecting at all. Cloudjay is at the age where I think he can make his own decisions on who he likes if they're older. So we'll see if this goes anywhere in the future. I will say that Ottertail actually does have a very small bit of romantic like for him too, so it is possible. And I swear all of Ravenspot and Aspen Lily's sons are gay, and I kind of find that hilarious. But next up is Moleshade, who is now 34 moons old, and they got an apprentice this year. They're a little self-conscious about how good of a mentor they are, but they try their best. They were really sad when Light Snow died and did their best to comfort Cinderspeck. They were also surprised to be chosen to take part in the main SharpClan raid, but they did their best while they were out there. The big thing right now is Moleshade has a crush on Swanleaf, and Swanleaf likes them back, but she's dealing with her internal screaming right now. Moleshade sees no issues pursuing a medicine cat girlfriend, and I love the fact that the two cats the strict Swanleaf is crushing on are sneaky and childish, and that she has fought with both of them on patrols over them not taking things seriously. Like, talk about opposites. I barely ever check the relationship stuff on time skips since it's a lot to read, but I did notice that Moleshade groomed a hard-to-reach spot on Swanleaf, and I thought that was really cute. I'm still rooting for Swanleaf and Lightfoot, but in the meantime, these two both like each other, and I think that would be cute as well, so we'll see. Side note, I did double check that they weren't related on the Bug Clan side of things, since both of them have Bug Clan blood, but we have no problems there. There are no relations. But overall, Moleshade's been a sweetheart this year, but keeping their childish moments like laughing at clan drama. So next up is Dark Whistle, who is 32 moons old, and he is now a dad, and I love it. He has a soft spot for younger cats, which was shown well in the SharpClan battle where he just straight up refused to fight the young apprentice. He was also seen playing with Oakspring and Mothblaze's litter, and I think he decided he wanted some after seeing them. Dark Whistle also did get on some cats' nerves with how effortlessly he managed to catch prey, when seemingly he wasn't trying on patrol, but he just rolls that way. Dark Whistle is having the time of his life this year. He's a dad, Brightstar is dating his mom, and he loves Brightstar, so this is amazing to him. He's also super excited to have younger siblings and is happy that his mom is having more genuine smiles. He also has an apprentice, but they've been sneaking away on their own patrols while he's been distracted playing with the kids. Next up is Eagle Strike, who came out this year. And since in-game cats can only come out as trans male/female or non-binary, I decided to roll to see if they had another specific label on the trans umbrella that they'd like for more possible variety and representation. That being said, Eagle Strike is a demigirl now and uses she/they pronouns. I claim them. But as for how they did this year, she did pretty good in the SharpClan battle, rushing in to defend Lightfoot, who they decided makes their brother happy and accepted her, even if they don't always see eye to eye. Eagle Strike was the most hesitant of their siblings to accept Brightstar dating their mom, but warmed up to him eventually. I kind of sent him out with the free kits on solo patrols after he started dating Fernheart, just to have, like, little bonding moments with them, and they just did training together. The biggest thing that Eagle Strike did this year was actually finding an abandoned kitten. They were 2 months old at the time, and Eagle Strike brought them to camp. They didn't officially adopt them as, to be blunt, they fear the commitment and still have daddy issues from Mint Splash. But she has watched them from a distance and occasionally offers advice or help. Eagle Strike also got yet another scar on their face when they fought a rogue, so they've been kinda grumpy this year. Finishing up the litter, Sage Dust had an interesting year. He got hurt pretty bad in the SharpClan battle, but nothing scarred. You also might notice the leaves on his pelt. So on the very same moon that Oakspring had kits, Oakspring put a bunch of herbs in Sage Dust's fur. So I assume that was in celebration for some reason, and I find that both really cute and funny. I really like that Sage Dust kept them. It shows that they have a bond. He's been bonding more with Brightstar too. On their little solo patrol I sent them on, Brightstar talked about their ancestors, which I thought was really fitting, and I feel like he comforted him over the similar experiences that they both have with having a parent who is now in the Dark Forest and feeling that they need to prove themselves or anything like that. Just feeling that kind of burden, I feel like they bonded. Brightstar reassured him that he's going to be great, which led Sage Dust into thinking he was destined for something greater, only for him to immediately get stuck in a 2-leg trap, injuring his leg. I shouldn't have laughed, but the timing of both of those was very amusing to me. Also, as I say that out loud, I'm realizing I forgot to draw his scar. Oops. He's supposed to have a scar in his back leg that's facing us in this picture. I'll do it next year. Contrasting this accident, he did get an apprentice this year, and they turned out great despite a few hiccups. He also destroyed a bunch of rogues on multiple occasions this year, chasing some off on solo patrols, so that really boosted his confidence again. But overall, his year has been very up and down, and he seems a bit annoyed. Next up is Flaxroar, who is now 26 moons old, and she is really missing her 2 sisters, especially her twin Lycanspark. She was also on one of the patrols where Emberfeather ran into wolves, and she is very concerned. She's been eating prey with her dad, making sure he's doing alright after everything. Flaxworth seems to be trying to be more concerned about others rather than herself, and was helping resolve some conflict this year. In general, she's done pretty good this year. I'm also rooting for her to get an apprentice in the future since she has the excellent teacher status. But on to her sister Lavender Heather. She was also very sad with the deaths of her sisters and seek comfort with her remaining siblings. She also seems really concerned with her brother, but you'll see why in a bit. She's been thinking about kits multiple times this year, and while she currently has no romantic like for anyone, I would love for her to have a mate one day when she's older. And I'm not just saying that because she has a high chance to pass on both heart noses and blep tongues based on how I decide that. Oh yeah, I also put a sprig of lavender on her ear despite her not having it in-game because that actually is a possible accessory and it's too fitting with her name to not do it. I've seen people have headcanons that she likes to be like a little florist of the clan, putting flowers around and stuff. Overall, she's been very sweet, listening to woes of her current clanmates and helping out when possible. She also has an apprentice and worries that she's doing a bad job as a mentor, asking her sister for advice. Now on to Holopath. Oh boy, Holopath. So he got absolutely mangled this year, this poor guy. On the first moon of this year, he got blinded after being stung by bees, apparently. But the scars look more like scratch marks, which make me question how truthful of an explanation that was. Despite being blinded, he still went on normal patrols, but ran into many problems. First, he stepped on a two-leg trap that he didn't see, which scarred his leg. Then he got trapped under a bunch of branches, which gave him a giant scar along his side. Despite this, he also managed to fight off a fox and drop a branch on a rogue's head, so I think he just needed some time to get used to his blindness. I like that it's not holding him back at all. I also like to think that the branch attack was inspired after his own experience. He also had the status that he wished he had more scars this year, and I'm sorry, that had to be sarcasm. This guy got so beat up this year, and I feel so bad for him. We didn't get any direct updates on that cat outside the clan that he was seen touching noses with last year, but something seems a bit suspicious that I'll get into later. But next up is the 19-moon-old newly named Wisp-Breeze, who the game named Wispwind, but I was having trouble saying the two W words, so my mod songs helped me get a similar meaning name because I really liked the vibe and didn't want to reveal it early and make a poll. So now she's Wisp-Breeze. Wisp-Breeze is now strange and a good fighter. A skill she put to good use fighting foxes on multiple occasions. We keep running into foxes and stealing deer from them. She found a maple seed and now wears it. She also bonded a bit more with CloudJ during her apprenticeship and no longer thinks that he hates her. She wished that she could have been part of the SharpClan raid. She's also just a weird one in general. She seems to chatter at the birds a lot, but was also seen tearing apart her prey. She's mostly just been sparring with clanmates, and she pretty much sneaks out on solo patrols every other moon. She's also been drawing symbols in the dirt that freak some cats out. No cat in the clan seems to truly understand her at times, but I think she likes confusing them. She does still really love her adopted dad Cinderpetal, though. And she has a decently big crush on Lavender Heather, which I am so rooting for. Please let me have lesbian cats in the game. This would be a super cute couple. I can already see the potential kits. I don't want to push them immediately into kits, but like I'm thinking of what they both look like, and I'm just thinking of the possibilities. But moving on to our youngest warriors. First up is Cinnamon Feather, who is 14 moons old, adventurous, and very clever. She was named after her adaptability. I also wonder if Brightstar gave her the suffix feather based on the bond that Garlic and Ember Feather have now. As mentioned earlier, as a kit, she gave her dad moth wings that he's still wearing, and she was actually apprenticed to Bugwish. They had ups and downs. Most of the time, Cinnamon Paw was happy regardless, but she actually got kidnapped by Two Legs this year, which made me so upset. I thought she was going to be gone forever, or at least for a long time. But then I cracked up laughing because she found her way home literally the next moon in-game. I'm so proud of her, and it's no wonder she ended up adventurous. She also has a crush on Holopath, which I wish her luck with when she's a bit older. She's a little young right now. But it seems that the sweetheart might like some bad boys. On to her sister, Butterfly Catcher, who is ambitious and very clever. Both of these girls have such long names they're going to kill me with writing them on the page, but I really like the suffix catcher. Butterfly Paw was apprenticed to Sage Dust, and she actually got sprayed by a skunk on her first day out, despite her mentor trying to stop her at the time. Also, now that she's bigger, I can show off her antenna bangs more. I also got some suggestions to add some fluff around where her wing pattern is, so I added a very small bit of that, and I think it's really cute. Overall, she hasn't done much beyond getting skunked. She didn't really have time to really miss her sister because Cinnamon Feather just came back so fast. She's mostly just vibing and helps out where she can. But yeah, now let's head into the Apprentice Den, starting with the rest of the Oak Moth kits, who are all 10 moons old now. First up is Burnet Paw, who is a sneaky she-cat. Also, fun fact, apparently Burnet Moths are a thing, so I love that for a Moth Blaze kit. What I don't love is Burnet Paw is very sad right now. As a kit, she was ambitious and was bossing around imaginary cats as deputy, but then some of her litter mates seemed to start bullying her. They kept wishing she would play more quiet and seemed to be putting her down a bit. She got apprenticed to Moleshade, and she had a breakdown on their very first patrol where she cried over not being good enough, which led to Moleshade comforting her, and that literally broke my heart. I want to hug her. She then later followed her own paw prints, and overall she's not doing the best. She actually has the least amount of experience out of her litter mates, and she might end up being the first cat to have a late warrior ceremony in the clan. Overall, she seems very self-conscious, and I hope she does better next year. Someone give this cat a hug. But next up is her sister Wolverine Paw, who is righteous and thankfully not one of Burnet Paw's bullies. In fact, she's been sassy to the other ones that actually are. Wolverine Paw is apprenticed to the Deputy Ember Feather, and she really looks up to him, thinking that he's really strong and smart. She caught a mouse on their first patrol out, and it was really cute. She's ran into wolves of him too, but he wants to keep her safe. Also, I absolutely love her design. She's my favorite Oak Moth kit looks-wise. She seems to look out for Burnet Paw and tries to be a peacekeeper, but her brothers see her as a bit of a goody two-shoes, which I find interesting with her punk rock look. Overall, Wolverine Paw seems to be living her best life out here, and I'm very happy for her. I'm so excited to see her future. Next up, I'm drawing the brothers together. We have the thoughtful Silk Paw and the troublesome Pounce Paw. Side note, more moth-related names of silk moths existing, but Silk Paw is apprenticed to Garlic, and they caught a squirrel in their first patrol. Over time, he seems to prefer to sneak out with his brother instead, though. Meanwhile, Pounce Paw is apprenticed to Dark Whistle, and he chased out a rogue on their first patrol, which he had a lot of fun with. But these two are little bullies. Silk Paw may be thoughtful, but he's kind of a jerk. These two are the bullies to Burnet Paw. And also the same moon that they became apprentices, a certain someone had the status of finding a living cat they hope can help. And with a very small bit of future knowledge, because I played a little bit ahead into next year, I've decided that these two are getting trained by their uncle Mintsplash in the Dark Forest. Feeling he's a better mentor and not fully understanding how bad of a cat he is since he died before they were born. Being trained by Mintsplash makes extra sense for Silk Paw specifically because he actually has some dislike towards Brightstar. Overall, I'm a bit nervous over the future for these two. It seems their parents are oblivious to anything other than the fact that they are sneaking out on patrols of their own and that they might be a bit rude. But there is one more apprentice this year. Meet the 9-moon-old adventurous Umberpaw. She's the kit that Eagle Strike found. She's also apprenticed the Lavender Heather, and unfortunately she got attacked by a badger on their very first patrol. And real quick, the blep tongues are going to be inside the mouth for pictures where there's gritted teeth, before someone asks where Heather's tongue is. Umberpaw didn't let this keep her down though, and she's still been pretty happy. But the main thing with Umberpaw is that she's not adopted by anyone, and as of now, she's not related to anyone in clan. And that would be great for new blood in the clan, but I can't get over something, so I have to bring it up and see what you guys think. So based on her age, whoever her mom is would have found out that they were expecting on the exact same moon that Holopath got blinded by something. I don't want to say she's Holopath's kid because we really do need new blood, but also he was touching noses with a loner last year, and it would make sense. That being said, I'll be making a poll about this on my community post in a few days, so check if there's a pinned comment below to see if she's unrelated to anyone or if she's Holopath's kid that he might not even know is his. I'm leaving this part up to you guys. But with that said, she's the last apprentice. Heading into the Elder's Den now, there's only one here, and it's Cinderpetal, who is 123 moons old. He retired at 118 moons old, and I think he was tired after everything he went through in his life. He deserves the rest. He had the status that he thought he was going crazy right after the battle, so I think it hit him later that he straight up killed a cat. He was protecting his brother at the time, but it seemed to bug him a bit. Cinderpetal seemed worried about Ravenspot throughout the year, and he was sad to see him go, and now Cinderpetal is the last remaining clan founder. He was telling stories to Kits this year, so I like to think he's trying to keep the tales of everyone he knew in the past alive. He seems to have a sort of acceptance to him, and I can see him being a storyteller, telling of how the clan was founded even though he was so little at the time. He doesn't really seem sad, but he's also not the happiest. It's an interesting feeling I'm getting from him. He's also sharing prey with his daughter Whispries, and I would love to see Cinderpetal live to be a grandpa. Please, game, let him live to be a grandpa. I need this. Speaking of Kits, it's nursery time. The 34-moon-old Lightfoot is in the nursery with her 3-moon-old Kits, the noisy Panther Kit and the inquisitive Moon Kit. And thank you so much for not having 5 Kits. You're my favorite now. You can't tell me she's not the fun mom that constantly plays with them and makes them laugh. I can see her dramatically flopping onto them, doing the classic, "Woe is me, I can't move," while they laugh and complain about her crushing them. She actually does seem to really like Kits, though, in general, seeing as she was playing with her sister's litter when they were little. That being said, I'm surprised none of her Kits are white, considering she's all white in-game. I had so much fun drawing these for you for the speed paint. As I stated before, Lightfoot still doesn't seem to like Swanleaf or even know about her crush. It seems she currently only has eyes for her shameless mate Darkwhistle, but I'll keep an eye on her. But yeah, that's year 10, and not so fun fact, we're actually at 31 cats in the clan, and my population limit before I do a population control event is actually 30. Thanks Oak Spring and Mothblaze. I couldn't bring myself to do the generator again when I just did it last year, so we're safe for now. But I did have mass extinction events on this entire year. They just never triggered. Those will stay on, and if we make it to Leaf Bear next year without being below 30 cats, then it'll be a harsh Leaf Bear next time. I am also both happy and unhappy that no GalaxyClan cats died in the SharpClan battle. Purely on a population control standpoint, it probably would have been good if someone did, though. As for other things from this year, Brightfern has officially become canon, and I guess it's a trend to announce that you're expecting Kits on the last moon of the year. We'll have to see if that happens with year 11. I'm really happy that Fernheart seems to be doing better. And drawing this lineup was such an up and down of different emotions, and I had a lot of fun drawing some cats' expressions. Swanleaf, my poor girl, she is struggling. All I ask is for the game to let me have lesbian cats that aren't tragic or just pining disasters. Let me have happy girls. Mint Splash is concerning me, and as for anyone wondering about Frecklespot in the Dark Forest, she's just struggling, honestly, so nothing big is going on with her. But yeah, it's so crazy that we're at year 10 in GalaxyClan already. I'm also almost at the 1 in real life year anniversary of when I started this series, which was on September 4th of last year. And I am so grateful for all of you that enjoy this series. I'm so happy I get to share my pixel cats to all of you and that there's actually a big audience. I love reading through all the comments, even if I can't respond to all of them. I am having so much fun with all the bonus stuff I do for this. You can probably tell just based on how the animatic for this battle looks versus how the animatic for the Creek Clan battle looks. I actually did straight up line art, I didn't just sketch it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and year 11 should be at the end of August. My socials are linked below, including my channel Discord, and my commissions are open as well if you'd like to support me that way. I also have a family tree link below that will be updated with this year's new developments within a week from now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!